Hello distinction students, this is your tutor Miss Zulu. Welcome to today's conversation where we're going to look at the topic transport. But before I get into that, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more sessions. So, what is transport? Transport is the movement of goods and services from one point to the other. Okay, so simply you can also define transportation in general as the movement of people, goods, and services from one place to another. Okay, so when you talk about transport, it plays a critical role in connecting people. I would say it facilitates trade, it also supports the economy growth. Okay, so let us look at the importance of transport. Okay, so delivering of raw materials delivers finished goods to warehouses as well as customers. Movement of labor. So when you talk about transport, we know when you are dealing with a business, mostly you need those goods or those raw materials to be transported from the factory to the people that are buying, or maybe from the manufacturers. Okay, and then also you need let's say you are getting those goods from the manufacturers, right? You have to take them to a warehouse where they'll be stored. You need transportation for those goods to be transported to that warehouse. Also, the movement of the people that are maybe going to that industry to go and make those products or to buy those products, they also need transportation. So when you talk about there are other movements of different people. You can talk about the customers, the clients. For example, maybe people want to see how that particular product you want to buy, how it's made. Those people would obviously need transportation to come to that factory to see. Okay. So provides opportunities for specialization. Okay, people are able to visit friends and families. So for us to move from one point to another, we need transport. Okay, source of revenue for the transport company. Okay, makes foreign trade possible, because when you're trading from a different country, you need transportation. It could be air transport, it could be sea transport, and so on and so forth. It encourages tourism worldwide. So, like for example, in Zambia, we have the mighty Victoria Falls, right? So people travel from as far as the US just to come and see the Victoria Falls in Zambia. All that transportation is needed. It could be air transport. Okay, it enables people to go and to and from work. So I'll give an example of Zambia in Lusaka. Lusaka, most places are distant. So if you're going to your workplace or you're going to your business place, let's say you stay in another place, and then you're going to town center, you obviously need transportation for you to move from your house going to where your shop is, or from your house going to where your workplace is. Okay, provides customers with a much wide variety of goods. Okay, it clears the line of production for manufacturers, enables customers to enjoy a high standard of living. All right, so now let us come to the factors considered when choosing suitable transport. Okay, so the first factor is cost of transport. What do I mean by cost of transport? So cost of transport should be considered because it reduces profit. So when you talk about this cost of transport, you need to know which, according to the business that you're doing, the money that you're earning, which transportation do you think is best for you to use. I would give an example of somebody who does business and orders their clothes, let's say from China. Okay, what mode of transportation are you going to use? Is it air transport? Is it sea transport? So there you depend on the costs which are is suitable for you. If you think air, because air transport, quite right, it's faster, but it's a bit expensive. But if you manage air transport, you use air transport. Sea transport is a bit slow when it comes to delivery of goods. It takes time, but it's cheaper. Okay, so the other one is speed transport. So speed of transport, especially if goods are required urgently or if they are perishable. Okay, So when we talk about the speed of transport, it matters, especially. So for example, we've talked about perishable things, perishable goods, which need to be delivered as soon as possible. Okay, so usually when you're dealing with goods that are urgently needed, mostly you'd be advised to use air transport, because when you talk about air transport, it could be expensive quite right, but it's very fast compared to these other, like sea transport. It will take time. Road will take a lot of time when it's coming from a distant place. Let's say when you're dealing with goods that are coming from a faraway place, like there's a distance there. Okay. Also, we look at the value of goods. They are high value or low value. So here you also have to look at the value of your goods. So some goods cannot bear the cost of transport systems. So I would say, because they are of what? Low value. For example, I would say coal. Coal has low value. So if it is transported by air, there is a probability that the trader would make a loss afterwards. Okay, so you need the value of goods. Is it a high value? Is it of a low value? The type of goods that you're dealing with. So the size, and so now let us look at the other factor, which is size of goods. So when you talk about size of goods, what is the weight of your goods? Is it are they in bulk? Is it that your goods are not a lot? So when you talk about the size of goods that you choose, it has to depend with the capacity. Okay, the capacity of goods that you choose. So we can say, if you're talking about maybe goods that are in bulk, which transportation is best for those goods? If you're talking, because when you talk about a plane has a capacity. For example, even if you're traveling and you're using bags, they weigh your bags. There's a certain capacity that it takes in. So again, you look at the size of your goods. Okay. So let us talk about security. So security required for goods, and goods should not be exposed to theft. So when you're talking about security, how secure are your products? You look at the transportation. Does it have a brokerage and all that? How are you exposing your goods? Does that transport have security? Okay, let us look at the other factor, which is access of the type of transport to the terminals by. Okay, so when you talk about this one, simply, how are your goods accessible? Is it easier for them to be offloaded? Because if it's easier for them to be loaded, and also it's easier for them to be offloaded at any point, meaning it reduces the extra cost of transportation. Okay, it also reduces theft. It also reduces, I can also say it reduces brokerages. Okay. The other thing we can talk about on the factors is the type of goods. So when you talk about the types of goods, some goods require special transport facilities. They cannot be carried by any transport. Like, so for example, I would talk about like Hungry Lion, right? Hungry Lion, they export their chicken, their potatoes. So for those things to be transported, you just can't use any transport because they'll go bad, right? So you need to use those refrigerated trucks where 24/7 they're refrigerated, they can't go bad. But if you just use any transport, they will obviously go bad because of the distance. Also, we can talk about oil. You just can't get any truck or any car to transport oil. You need there are specific trucks that transport oil. They have those tankers behind where oil is safe and kept there. Okay. So we can also talk about another factor for that you can consider is distance involved. So the distance of the goods will be transported, the distance that those goods are transported on matters also. If you're talking about short distances, you can use road transport. But if you're talking about long distances, that's why now the air transport comes in. That's why the sea transport also comes in. Okay. So there we also have flexibility of transport. Can it offer door-to-door deliveries? So you also see if the transportation that you're using, does it offer a door-to-door? So I'll give an example of these bikers, the riders that have been used now for deliveries. You can just order something online and it will come to your doorstep. If you just give them your location and everything, it delivers to your doorstep. Okay, let us now look at the the modes of transport. So when you talk about modes of transport, we have a lot of modes of transport. We have road transport, we have railway transport, air transport, water transport. But for now, let us start by looking at road transport. So when you talk about road transport, this is the movement of goods and people from one point to another by road. Okay. So let us look at so when you talk about road transport, we have a lot of road transport. We can use their trucks, their taxis. There are so many road transport that we can use. Now there are even bikers, there's a bus, like so many types of road transport. So now let us look at the advantages of road transport. So one of the advantages of road transport is fast over short distance. So when you talk about road transport is very fast, because imagine you can't be within Lusaka and use a plane. That's impossible to deliver your goods, or sea transport. That's impossible, right? So when you talk about road transportation, it's very fast and easier when it comes to short distances. Okay, offers door-to-door deliveries. So when you use these days, we have, for example, in Zambia we have Yango. You can just order food maybe at KFC, and then the taxi will just deliver it at your doorstep. Okay, it's flexible. Okay, it is affordable. Companies can afford to own their own freights. Okay, most goods are carried by road transport. So most of these simple goods that require short distances, let's say within the particular country, you obviously use road transport because it's just within the same country. So most of these deliveries that are done are used by road transport. Roads reach almost everywhere. So when you talk about road transport, it's not limited. It can reach anywhere. Let's say if you're going in those rural areas which are distant, when you talk about road transport, they can reach those areas. It is suitable for perishables. So when you talk about these things that are perishable, because when you talk about road transportation, you can take it in the same day. So now imagine when you talk about sea transportation takes long weeks, even like a month. So now imagine if you're dealing with perishable things, they'll obviously go bad. Goods may be delivered at any time. Okay, let us now look at the disadvantages of this road transport. So when you talk about the disadvantages, is it's expensive over short distance. So because road transport requires fuel here and there, and it's expensive, it's costly. Okay, it creates problems of social costs. Okay, affected by bad weather conditions such as rain, snow. So when you talk about, let's say they are transporting goods, let's say from Lusaka to Ndola, and then it's in rain season, right? It's rain season, and then maybe you haven't carried anything to cover those goods, and then it just starts raining while you're on your way. There's a possibility that those goods will be destroyed. Okay, it's slower over long distances. So when you talk about road transport mostly is not advisable for long distance transportation. It's mostly advisable for short distances. Okay, it's not flexible to carry large quantities such as coal. Okay, it causes damage to the environment, e.g. air pollution. Okay, let us now look at the railway transport. So when we talk about the railway transport, it's the movement of goods and services from one point to another by train. Okay, so mostly when you talk about railway transport, this one carries bulky goods. We can talk of goods like raw materials or even finished goods. We can talk about the copper, we can talk about petrol, we can talk about coal. So those are like examples of things that a train can carry. Okay, so now let us look at the advantages of railway transport. So when you talk about railway transport, it is faster over long distances than road transport. So now when you talk about a train is faster compared to road transport when it comes to long distances. Okay, it is cheaper, especially when carrying bulky goods. So this one is very good when it comes to carrying long distance goods, right? So you can carry them in bulk, and it's still cheaper that way. Okay, there is no congestion on the railway line. So when you talk about roads, we know how congested the road can be. There's traffic here and there, but we know how a plane moves. It's rare. It's a rare case that there is maybe congestion on the railway line. Okay, it is not so badly affected by adverse weather conditions. Okay, So this one, when we talk about weather conditions, it's not really affected the way I explained on the example of road transport. It is economically in the use of fuel. So this one, I can just say it's cheaper compared to road transport. Okay, a railway line may have direct access to the seaport, mines, and industries. So, and that's the reason why mostly these trains are used to transport coal, they're used to transport copper, and so on and so forth, because they have direct access to mines and industrial areas. Okay, let us look at the disadvantages of railway transport. So,